Let's talk about arrays here. So this is an introduction to arrays. Let's see, we want to find the class average. And maybe if the average below 75, you need to add 5 points to that average. So find a class average. Add 5 points to each student. You can't have more than 100 if average is less than 75. That means you have to hold the values. You can't just read them, get them, and add them and divide by the number of values. You want to keep track of them first. So one of the problems here is we have no idea how big the class is. So let's do I/O manipulation here because I'm not sure what we're going to be doing. Include I/O manip. Using namespace std. So the first thing, the program, I want to sell this program, which means I want anyone to be able to use it. If you need anyone to be able to use it, you can't set it up for like a class of 50 or a class of 75. Some schools have more than 75 students in the class, like UMass might have 200 students in a class. Winnick might have, and Stick might have only 10 students in the class. So really you want it to be an adjustable size. Means the user have to enter the size. So cin or cout first, we'll say cout. We'll ask enter the class size. Cn, I forgot to define the size. Cout and L. And if I look up, I should have an error because I never told them what size is. So int size. So now you're going to read the class size, size. And you're going to save it there. Once you have the class size, now you want to open the array. The array is going to have scores. The question becomes, are these scores going to be decimal values? Does the teacher give like 85.5 on a test? If it is, make them double. If it doesn't, you can still make them double. Double. We're going to call that test 1. This is for test 1 or test instead of test 1. This is a test score. We need to find the average for that. And I need to tell them how many of these. So square bracket, that tells them that's an array. And how big the array is, the size, whatever the number of students we're going to input there. So if you said the size is 60, the machine takes 60 locations, 60 memory spots. Each one can hold a decimal value. Now the first location is known as test of 0. The second location is test 1. So for example, for the first person, if you want to give them a score of 50, you go test 0, not O, equals 50. And that will put a 50 for the first person. That's called the index. You tell them out of these 50 locations, or 75 locations or 100 locations, go location 0, the first one, and put a 50 in it. If you want to put in location 11, that'll be 10 here, because you're starting with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the 11th value. Maybe you want to put a score of 75. You can do that by adjusting the index. So now my first step is to read all the values from the keyboard. So here we go. Read all the scores. I can set up a loop here and I'll do a counter, int. That's my counter. I'm going to use the letter I to count for me. Oh. I is less than the size. I forgot to say it starts with 0. I plus plus. Incremented by 1. Start with I being 0. Size capital S. So if you say you have 50, you're going to go from 0 to 49. So each time you're going to ask the computer, so I'm doing more than one thing, so I'll do that. Cout. Enter the score for student number, and I want to put the number here, I colon space. Now when you read that, CN, you want to read the value and you want to put it directly into the array, test I. The only problem with that, the first location I is 0. For student 0 doesn't make any sense. That's really student 1. So maybe what you want to do here, I plus 1. Or if you don't like that, start with I being 1 and go equal to size. Then you have to make that size plus 1. So I'll stick with that, the way we decide to do it. Then go to the next line. You know what? If I do this, it's going to repeat that. Let's go /n to give me a new line. Enter. So this way automatically will go to the next line, the next /n. And that will read all the scores and save them into the array. And while we're reading them, let's define a dummy variable we'll call sum, int, sum, set it equal to 0. Let's add the scores as we read them. Let sum equals sum plus test I. Whatever that score, you just saved it in that array. Add it to the sum. So they'll keep going till you're done with it. Now let's calculate the average. Just to show you what we have so far, let me Enter the size of the class. Let's say we only have 5 students. Here we go. Enter the score for student 1. Enter the score for student 2. Enter the score for student 3, student 4, and student 5. And it kicks you out. So I noticed there's an I there, so I bet you I forgot. Yeah, right there. Have an extra I, because that's the shift key by mistake there. So these I's will disappear. That shouldn't be there. 3 students. Enter the score for student 1, 55, 77, 88. If there's too much space there, you can take that /n out, because that gives you the extra line. Save it. This is actually just the little detail. Some people say, oh, I don't like this. The class is 3, 55, here we go, 66, 77. So if you don't want that extra space, I said go to the next line, so it gave me an extra line, you know. So once you read all the scores here, and you finish the loop, that means you have all the scores. The next step, we define a decimal value, double. We'll call it average. And average is going to equal to what? It's going to take the sum, which is an integer value. Because sum is an integer value, I'm going to multiply it times 1.0, just to convert that to a double decimal value. Remember, an integer by an integer is going to give you an integer value. Then divided by the size, the number of students. Check to see if what? If the average is less than 75, we need to add 5 points to each one, to each student. So let's see. I want to do this if the average is if it's less than 75. Let me take that loop out first. I can leave it there. Set up the loop again to go through each one of them for INTI equals to 0. I is less than the size. I plus plus. What do you want to do? Let me indent this. I want test I to equal test I plus, as I'm going to give them 5 points. 5 points. But nobody can get more than 100. If what? If test I is greater than 100, that means test I, that location, equals 100. So location 0 becomes location 0 plus 5 points. If that value in 0 is more than 100, make it 100. Then you go back, I becomes 1. Check location 1. Test 1 becomes test 1 plus 5 points. If it's more than 100, add 5 points to it. Now, if you want to print the new result, we should print the score of the array before and after. So let's print the array before and the array after. This is print the scores before adjustment. Actually, I had C out, scores before adjustment. I'll make that C out show up on the screen. Scores before adjustment. Next line. So let's print them here. Notice if I'm going to use I again, or I can't just go for I equals 0. I is less than size. I plus plus. C out. Test I. Then go to the next line, and L. That will print all the scores. Notice it doesn't really know what I is. It says, wait a minute, we define I to be an integer. If you put it inside the loop like this, it only knows it for this loop. So instead of keep writing INTI for each time you use the loop, now that's a problem there. And this is a problem here. So maybe what you want to do in the top there, just use comma I here. And once you define it there, then you can grab it anytime and use it. Now all these errors should disappear. Now they're gone. And let's show the result after, let's show the array after the adjustment. So this is the adjustment. We made the adjustment here. Let's show the result after the adjustment. So this one, make adjustment. Adjustment to the score. So you're going to see the array before and after. Let's say I have 6 students. And the first time I'll make the scores high, so no adjustment. 89, 95, 97, 86, 94, 93. Score before adjustments are score after adjustment. Notice there's no change in them. Let's run the program, and this time let's make the scores low. So to make an adjustment, we have 6 students again, 35. One person got a 97. Remember, when you add 5 points, this person will be more than 100, but he's not going to get more than 100. Or she's not going to get more than 100. 25, 29, 36, 96. There is the scores before adjustment. 35, it became 40. 97 became 100. 25, you add 5 to it. 29, you add 5 to it. 36, you add 5 to it. 96, you add 5, but you can't have more than 100. So it did what it's supposed to do. And your class could be a size of 1,000, could be a size of 100. The program doesn't change. You will never have to adjust this program for any size.